Get going here. All right, we're live everywhere. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good morning. How are you today? I'm always so excited about the topic, but I was reading through this book today, just the part that we're going to be talking about in preparation. And I was like, oh, it's so good. It really, like, this is the key. Hey, Mary, good morning. And the Oki fashion, am I saying that right? I like your name. Sierra, good morning. Oh, it's so good to see everyone. This is so good. Everything we're talking about here is so, so good. Let me ask you this, just because I really always want to make sure this is tailored to what you need. What are you hoping to get today? We're coming together. We're talking about this book, Feeling is the Secret. What is it? What is the one thing that if you could get an answer to, or if you could get clarity on in your life, in your business, what is that one thing that would unlock everything for you? We've got, is it Yashika? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Good morning. Elizabeth, Laura, good morning. If you're joining live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, I see there are people, but I can't see who you are unless you leave a comment. So I would love if you dropped a comment and let me know, what is that one thing that you're hoping to shift today? Is it a mindset that you keep bumping up against that you know is holding you back? Is it a habitual pattern? Is it lack of sales? Like, what is that thing that you are hoping to shift today? Okay, good. I'm saying your name correctly. Yashika, good. Nancy, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, while you are popping that in the comments, and please, like, this really is a time where I love interacting. I want to get to know you. Those of you I don't know yet. Well, Sierra's saying mindset for sure. Okay, so what would you love your mindset to be, Sierra? What would be, if you could unlock that next level mindset, what would you love for it to be? Ishika, sales. Okay. So what specifically around sales are you looking to get clarity on today? And I can speak to that. Lori on LinkedIn, good morning. I was thinking about you today because I know 7-1's a big day for you. I was thinking about you. So I'm so glad you're here. So while you all are just typing that in the comments, I'm going to go ahead and dive in to this. And we were talking, so I think everyone who's here has been here, but if you're watching for the first time, we're diving into the aspect of unlocking sales and your next level business growth that I found is extremely lacking in most sales training I've been a part of, which is how you are showing up as a person, specifically your feeling. And so this book, Feeling is the Secret, is what we're studying and coming together to talk about here. And so I'm just going to pick up on yesterday where we left off. We've been talking a lot about conscious mind versus subconscious mind, and how rewiring your subconscious, when you have a belief system, when you learn to create a belief system that supports the results you desire, everything falls into place. Like, everything will fall into place for you because everything you do is based upon your belief systems about what's possible for you and what's not possible for you. And the way it works is that most of us, all of us really, because it's part of being human, pick up unhelpful beliefs along the way. Growing up, even now, you may pick up on unhelpful beliefs. And so if we're not aware of those, then you're gonna have a belief system that's running the show that's not helping you get what you want. So let me just pause and read comments. So Sierra is saying, getting into a mindset where I rise to challenges instead of old Sierra who would feel bad about whatever the situation is and was. That's an awesome, awesome, awesome goal. Okay, yep. And no, I think, Sierra, part of that is knowing that challenges are part of it. Like, the challenges are, when you say you're ready to go to your next level, life will give you challenges that will help you become the woman who's able to have that next level. So it's all happening for you. I think when we think about belief systems and what's important, especially in entrepreneurship or sales, where I used to feel like I got knocked around a lot. I used to feel like I wasn't in control and in charge. And because I didn't have the belief system that everything was happening for me, because that's just nothing I had heard growing up. But when we have that belief system, then everything shifts, right? And you can rise to those challenges to say, beautiful, like, who am I being invited to be? Who am I being invited to be right now? What am I being invited to shift? Sierra's saying that. That's what I needed to remind myself. Everything is always happening for me. Exactly. That's all it is. That's all it is. The challenges must come. They are there to help you achieve what you want. but we can choose, like your experience of the challenges is your choice. And you can decide if you're going to let it be a struggle and a slog, or you can decide if you're going to say, wow, I love how I'm getting refined here. There's it's a weird analogy, but I used to give it a lot. I haven't thought of this in years, but, and I don't know if it's every lobster or if it's just a certain kind. Wow, we're going weird places today. Okay, but either a certain type of lobster or every lobster, what happens is they have a hard shell, right? And as the lobster develops, when it's a young lobster, like it forms the shell around its body, but then it's got this soft body inside. Now that soft body inside keeps growing, like it keeps growing, and it reaches a point where the shell that's around its body is actually too small and too constrictive for the body to fit into anymore. And so at that point, the lobster has a choice, which is either stop growing or create a bigger shell. Now, in that process, because everything and everyone is wired for expansion, you are, lobsters are, all of it, it actually literally will go under a rock and rub its old shell off. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds extremely painful to me to think about rubbing your skin off under a rock, right? But that's the only way that it can create the space that it needs to create that new, bigger shell that actually fits its body now. So I know that's a strange analogy, but does that help? Like if you feel like there are challenges right now that you're going through, all that means is that you're growing and that you're literally creating a bigger shell and a bigger container for yourself. And it may feel challenging. It may feel tough in the process, but you have to know why it's happening so that you have that, because you're creating a bigger space for yourself to expand into. So hopefully that really weird analogy helps. Yashika, how to take inspired/right action towards a new juicy goal. Ooh, I love that I've never done before until my intuition kicks in. Okay. Inspired and right action. So here's what I would say with that is it's just, what's the next step? Like you'll never know the full picture when you're taking that, like when you're going for that big goal. So what's the next step? And sometimes you won't be clear. And I would say if in moments in my life where I'm not clear, I tend to meditate. I tend to journal. I go for a walk. I get out of my current environment. Or I ask my coach, it's like I go to someone who's been where I want to be so they can guide me and tell me. The other thing, Yashika, I would do is if you're not yet signed up for the challenge next week, ElyseArcher.com/challenge. I think that's going to be and maybe that's the next right action for you to take. But I'd love to hear more about the goal that you're going for. I'm excited for you there. Mary's saying, I'm learning to set up my mind for the day, but I'd like a tool to make a quick in-the-moment hack for the times when I need to quickly reframe my mindset, sometimes mid-conversation with someone. Okay. I'd love a tool to make a quick in-the-moment hack for the times when I need to quickly reframe my mindset. Yeah. So what I do, even if it's mid-conversation, I mean, sometimes it's like you've got to complete the sentence, but sometimes it sounds like, Mary, to your point, you become aware in the moment that you're going down maybe a path that you used to go down, but you're recognizing now no longer serves you, or you're feeling that like misalignment in your body, probably that's telling you, oh, like this conversation isn't helpful for where I want to go, or my way of being right now isn't helpful. I would literally, like, as soon as you can, excuse yourself from the conversation, go get back in alignment. And that's just looking at what's the thought. Like, I was just thinking a limiting belief, right? Or I was just thinking a thought that's not in alignment with my higher self. So what's the better thought here? And you'll feel like, I literally will feel myself getting back in alignment. And then if you've got to re-enter the conversation, you do that. Or if you move on throughout your day. But I also, Mary, since you're a 10K club member, there's a guide in there that I put up recently. I don't know if you've seen it, but what does it call it? I think is it the 6 steps to rewire a limiting belief? I think that may be what's in there, but that's in there. So you can like use that as your quick cheat sheet. The other thing to do is literally stop talking. Like if you notice that you're saying something that's not, because your words create your reality. Okay. So if you are saying something that's not, maybe you're reacting to what's currently going on, which is all just a result of your past thinking, feeling, and actions. And what is going on for you right now currently isn't where you want to go. And you're just talking about it and like complaining about it or remarking on it. Stop. Like, just stop. You stop yourself mid-sentence. It's not worth it to keep up the momentum that you're building by continuing to talk about it. Because whatever you focus on and continue to talk about, you're just going to create more of. So you stop it in mid-sentence. Let's see here. Laura needed the lobster story. Okay. I'm glad that resonated with someone. I haven't told it in years, and I feel like I used to tell it better. It was a little clunky, but I'm glad it spoke to you. Yashika going for 30K months. Beautiful. Okay. So what would the woman who has 30K months, what would she be doing right now? That's how I, and again, if you don't know, then it's like, meditate, get a mentor, like work with someone who's at that level, go for a walk, like all of it, right? That's part of why coaching and mentoring is so important, is because, okay, there we go. Because it's a shortcut, right? People who have already been there can help. So Leanne, good morning. All right, friends. So I'm just going to read to you from this as we do each morning. And if you have questions, comments, etc., then thank you for the hearts. Then pop them in the comments. Let's do it. So he says, to impress the subconscious with the desirable state, you must assume the feeling that would be yours had you already realized your wish. So this is really important. This is really important to remember, is that your feeling state, because we live in an electromagnetic world, the whole like law of attraction, it gets a lot of people are like, oh, it's woo, it's weird. It's like, no, it's just universal law like gravity. All right. And your feeling state tells you what you're a match for. So that's what magnetizes things to you. Is this making sense? So you have to get in that feeling state of how would you feel if your wish were already fulfilled? All right. And maintain that regardless of what's going on outside of you. Jan, good morning. Good morning. Agile Leadership, good morning. So good to see you. Lori saying my future woman puts makeup on daily. It's literally, I mean, it's like, I ask myself all the time, what would Elyse, who's at blank level with, the level I'm going for now, like, what would she do? How would she dress? How would she act? What would she say? One of the, like, it's so funny, but maybe it's not funny. I don't know. One of my go-to habits is like to be really rushed when I eat meals. At least it was in the past, because I was like trying to cram it in between coaching calls and cram it in between taking care of Jack. And so now like I'll pause myself and I'll be like, no, like the Elyse who has a, whatever type of home she desires and brings in X amount of money and makes this type of impact, like she sits down and she enjoys her meal. So it's literally asking yourself, what would the woman or the man at this level do? And it'll be a different thing than you're used to doing, because that's when you do a different thing, you get a different result. Gail, good morning. So he says, in defining your objective, you must be concerned only with the objective itself. The manner of expression or the difficulties involved are not to be considered by you. So this is really important, because we can if you got a big goal, right? So like Ashika, you were talking about your big goal, right? Your 30K months. And I would actually make that seem small in your mind. It's all relative. So 30 may feel big to you right now, but it also could look really small depending on how you look at it. But for whatever that thing is, like, all you need to stay focused on is the end result. If you start getting too in your head about how, and I've got this amount of time and yada, yada, it's like, no, you're actually cutting yourself off from what you want. Stay focused on the end goal and stay in that feeling state of what it's going to be like to have achieved the end goal. And then it will come to you. So to think feelingly on any state impresses it on the subconscious. Again, whatever you feel, whether positive or negative, and you think about a lot, you're putting it in your subconscious mind, it will come into form. Therefore, if you dwell on difficulties, barriers, or delay, the subconscious, by its very non-selective nature, again, it's like the soil, whatever you plant in it will come into form, accepts the feeling of difficulties and obstacles as your request and proceeds to produce them in your outer world. And I wondered for years why things felt so hard, right? It's because I kept thinking about how things were hard. Can anyone relate to that? So again, going back to Sierra's point at the beginning of like rising to the challenges are going to happen, but depending on what you think about, like you can think about how it's hard, you can choose your thoughts about what they mean. And if you create a meaning for them that's not helpful, that's not actually true for you, then, and you just think about difficulties and barriers, et cetera, then your subconscious mind takes that as a direct command from you to give you more. So instead, I would think about like when something comes up, it's like deal with it and keep it moving, and stay focused on that end goal. Wow, I must be getting really close because there's more contrast. Wow, I'm really getting ready for a big up level here because these challenges are bigger than any I've ever faced. Law of polarity, everything has an opposite. So in every challenge, there's an equal sized opportunity. Yashika, I joined She Sells. I think that's what it's called. I literally just found you. I've been soaking it all up because it aligns with what I teach. Yay, I'm so excited. Okay, awesome. So so if you join, the brand is called She Sells. I'm so glad, so glad you're here. And I'm thrilled that you will, sounds like, be part of the challenge next week. That's awesome. So he says, okay, the subconscious is the womb of creation. It receives the idea unto itself through the feelings of man or woman. It never changes the idea received, but always gives it form. So again, if you can hold it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. So I want you to think about that. Whatever you hold in your mind, you will hold in your hand, because all that you're doing, you're a powerful creator. Whatever image you consistently hold in your mind, you impress on your subconscious, which then starts giving you ideas, inspiration, et cetera, actions to take to move it into form. Make that your physical reality, whether positive or negative. All right. It's agnostic. Hence, the subconscious outpictures the idea in the image and likeness of the feeling received. So he says, to feel a state as hopeless or impossible is to impress the subconscious with the idea of failure. So I just want you to check in right now. Is there any part of you, as you think about your goal, that feels hopeless or feels like it's not possible for you? Because we want to stop that in its tracks. And it's helpful to know you can't think about two things at the same time. You can't. And so what you want to do is replace the thought with the thought of what you want. If you find yourself thinking a thought of, well, there's no hope, or thinking about what you don't want, just notice it again. Don't judge yourself. This whole human experience is not about being perfect. You are here to discover what you want, and part of that involves contrast, okay? But you don't need to dwell in it any longer than is necessary. So stop, redirect, think about what you want. Although the subconscious faithfully serves man, it must not be inferred that the relation is that of a servant to a master, as was anciently conceived. The ancient prophets called it the slave and servant of man. This is interesting, because I know, a lot of my audience is female. Okay, here we go. We're getting into some juicy stuff. So let me see how far we can get here. We're going to need to pick this back up tomorrow. All right. The ancient prophets called it the slave and servant of man. St. Paul personified it as a woman and said, the woman this is going to ruffle some feathers. So I'm reading, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. The woman should be subject to man in everything. Okay, let's keep going, because there's more context here. All right, so just stay with me. The subconscious does serve man and faithfully gives form to his feelings. However, the subconscious has a distinct distaste for compulsion and responds to persuasion rather than to command. Consequently, it resembles the beloved wife more than the servant. So I know this is like, this could ruffle a lot of feathers. But what I want you to think about is, regardless of your gender identity, regardless of your orientation, anything, in a partnership that is loving, where you desire to have a true partner, and you desire to think about how you want your partner to talk to you, right? If they needed you to do something, would you want them to like bark an order at you? No, right? You would probably be like, well, screw you, I'm not going to do that. if they came to you in appreciation and gratitude and love and a request of you, how would you respond differently? And that's, I think, the more modern interpretation of this. He says, the husband is head of the wife, Ephesians 5, may not be true of man and woman in their earthly relationship, but it's true of the conscious and subconscious, or the male and female aspects of consciousness. The mystery to which Paul referred when he wrote, this is a great mystery. He that loveth his wife loveth himself, and they two shall be one flesh, is simply the mystery of consciousness. Consciousness is really one and undivided, but for creation's sake, it appears to be divided unto two. So one more quick thing here, and then we're going to do questions and we're going to wrap. The conscious or objective or male aspect truly is the head and dominates the subconscious, i.e. subjective or female aspect. However, all right, again, ladies, listen. However, this leadership is not that of the tyrant, but of the lover. So by assuming the feeling would be yours, were you already in possession of your objective, the subconscious is moved to build the exact likeness of your assumption. So we got through that one. We got through the lobster analogy. I was reading that. I was like, oh, this is tricky waters. But does that make sense to everyone? Where thank you for the hearts, where it's like, it's that loving co-creative relationship where it's two coming together as one, creating together, rather than something of coercion, rather than something of force. Like, that's not any of this. This is like that beautiful blending. Yashika saying yes. Okay, good. Good. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have a comment? I've got a coaching client at the top of the hour, so I'm going to be hopping off momentarily. But does anyone have Laura saying, yes, good. Elsie, good morning. Good morning. And again, if you are not yet registered for next week's challenge, get yourself registered, sister. ElyseArcher.com/challenge. It's going to be so much fun. I want to just spend way more time with you and pour into you and help you with your sales process and how to literally, like, little cheesy July 4th play on words, but skyrocket your sales for the rest of the year. We had to do it. And it's going to be awesome. Thank you for the hearts. Yeah, Laura, I know you're going to be there. That's amazing. All right, friends, if we don't have, Elsie saying I'm not getting notified until you're almost off. Oh, that is weird. So Elsie, I go live at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. I mean, some days it's 8:32. Some days if it's late, it's 8:33. But I aim to be live by 8:30 Eastern every weekday. So if you just pop that on your calendar and come join, you can come hang here because I love having you here. Yashika, you're so welcome. Thank you for being here. Yes, absolutely. And as always, send me a DM if anyone has questions or follow up on this. Get registered for the challenge, ElyseArcher.com/challenge. And I am wishing you all a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. All right. See you soon. See you tomorrow.